Good morning.
Hello. We were like, darn it, 10:01, we're late.
We're late. I can't believe it. We were early and now we're late.
I know, we're on time for us because we're always a minute or two late.
That's right.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
Oh, golly.
Well, good morning, everyone. I see Debbie. Debbie already had her good morning up before we were live. So
Okay.
Let's see. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hopefully everybody had a good and safe Halloween that just happened. It is the Woo Woo Wednesday. And Brooke. You know, Scott and I, we've been trying to figure out, like, how are we going to decorate our 12-foot skeleton? I think we're going to put some Santa hats on it, make it look like we're going to switch him where he's standing in the yard and make it look like he's hanging the lights on the house.
Oh, cute.
Christmas.
So you're keeping him out all year?
Yeah, or a good chunk. Yeah, I think he's going to be out for a while.
Okay.
What can we do with the 12-foot skeleton?
Yeah, right. Try to ram it back in its box.
I mean, when I had to take it from the store to his house, I got all but the base back in, and I was kind of proud because at first I'm like, how do they fit this in a box? And then I got most of it. I just couldn't get the metal base that you anchor it down into the ground back in there. And I'm like, I don't know if it's ever going back because now I don't remember how it came out. Good morning.
Do you get kids that trick or treat at your house?
At my apartment place, no. Scott's house had some kids. I'm surprised the apartment doesn't because it's a pretty decent sized like complex. But I guess ever since COVID, like it's never really
picked up again. Yeah.
Everybody takes their kids to the nearby neighborhoods now. Oh, Amy's already listened to this morning's podcast, The Office Clearing. And with that, Sue has done some research and she found Dorothy. And I know Kelly has emailed me a lot of information. And if I read the email correctly at 5:30 this morning, Roger's family apparently had a funeral business, and they interred Dorothy. So,
for heaven's sakes.
So there's a lot with those two little ones hanging around, which is even more endearing to me because how she liked little Roger and he was like, ugh.
Yeah, girl. Right. Huh.
So we're perfectly on our time. That's right. Yeah. We had a seance in that space Sunday evening, and unfortunately, none of them came through. I was kind of hoping, at least Dorothy would, because she said she'd come back after,
Yeah, but it's quick. They just crossed over not that long ago, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Did you tell the person that did the seance what Dorothy had to say?
Yeah. So earlier in the day, we had our monthly psychic fair, and they're always one of the first ones to come in and set up. And I was like, hey, even the dead kids think you're weird. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, even the dead ones think you're weird. Hello, Lewis. We're good. How are you, buddy? How's school going? And Brooke's right. The skeleton can hold a heart, can hold a shamrock. We can maybe put a pot of gold down by his feet for St. Patty's Day.
Easter eggs.
That's right. If I can find Cupid wings for him, I might have to make those. That would be funny.
Yeah.
With a bow and arrow.
Yeah, that'd be cute.
I wonder how long before the city is like enough.
You
Take
think
it
they
down.
say something really?
I don't know. It's Illyria. It's, you know, you never know. No, that's my phone here at the
Oh, I
store.
was just saying, I thought we turned our phones off. That's yours. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, Melanie said they had a record number of kids this year where she was living for trick or treating.
Ever since we moved up here from Wayne County, we have never, one year we had kids, a child, about a 2-year-old, and I made her mother open up her bag and I dumped every piece of candy in the item.
There we
So, yeah. So we don't even get kids.
That's sad because I like seeing their little
I
costumes.
do too.
So excited.
The older kids, I always just, if they're polite, they still got something. But if they were smarty pantses, it's like, do a trick and we'll give you a treat. Oh, lady, you're crazy, and they walk away.
Well,
Isn't it
it's
your treat? Come on.
right, right. I was always one of those like I don't care if they're teenagers as long as they're dressed up and they're being polite. I'm going to give them candy because you know what? They're having fun rather than out causing trouble.
But that's what I said. As long as they were polite and there wasn't a problem. But oh yeah, no.
Good morning for Colorado. We were just talking about Colorado.
Yes, we were.
And it's funny because Sandy says dress them up for Christmas like Santa from Nightmare Before Christmas, and that's what Scott's wanting to do, like get the droopy beard and the hat. And so I'm gonna have to do some crafting in my downtime because I don't think they make them that big.
Probably not.
And hello from California. Let's see.
Oh yeah, because it's only 7:00 in the morning in California.
Right. Lewis said, I did my law of abundance, and just the other day I got a letter from my university saying they're giving me a $500 bursary fund. Oh, nice. So
Wonderful. I'm telling you, the law of abundance works. And it was an eclipse, so that was a good one to do it on. Good for you.
hello, Pixie Roach. Haven't seen you in a while, hon. Hopefully you're gonna stop in soon. Just not today, because after this live, I'm actually leaving. I'm in the store, kind of in the back with all my storage cabinets. I'm going to actually gather up some of the Halloween decor in here and start packing it up and make the trek to go put it back into storage. So I'm at work, but not at work. Let's see. And true. So happy All Souls Day and Day of the Dead for those who celebrate, because there's actually different things celebrated on November 1st and 2nd.
Well, the 31st is Halloween, and the 1st is All Saints Day, and today is All Souls Day. Now, today we had to go to Mass this morning because today is a holy day. All Saints Day is not, but All Souls Day is. But yep, all three of them right in a row. And from what I understand, All Saints Day was actually years when it started was in the middle of the month. But because of Halloween on the 31st, the church changed it to the 1st to counteract the Halloween. So that's why All Saints is the 1st instead of when it used to be.
Okay. Karen says she put turkey feathers on her skeleton for Thanksgiving. Brandy says, is a seance for those who crossed over or earthbound or both? It kind of depends on the person who's conducting. So the one that we have here, because the store and now the office space is completely protected thanks to Marianne, it's going to only be those that have crossed over. So it's almost, if you're somebody that you're wanting tables rocking and things knocking and moving and floating, that's not going to happen in our buildings because those
it
beings
doesn't happen like that. That's why.
Yeah. So don't expect movie seances if you come to one here. I do know one facilitator who is great at doing the whole table tipping and the table rocking. He actually had it move in here in the store, and he gets a brand new folding card table that comes out of the box and sets it up, and it's just fingertips and watching that thing walk across the floor. But that took some work to do it. What I found kind of interesting though, like they also did the what do you call it, where you have the cup moving. And so many people had that going, but the minute I would touch it, like the whole thing would just stop. And I'm like, oh man, come on. I'm like,
That's
I'm the
because you're
Debbie
not a true believer.
Downer. Right, and I'm like, come on. So I'm like,
Right.
well, this isn't my, my thing to
Thing.
do.
Right.
Yeah. Suck the fun out of it. So the minute I would kind of let go, and it didn't matter who else was on the cup. So it wasn't like it was just me and him and the facilitator, like other people from the audience coming up to try it, to experience it. But the minute I'm like, ooh, let me try it, like
Nothing.
complete silence. I'm like, well, damn.
There you go.
Right, Debbie Downer. Everybody, congrats, Lewis. Put a pilgrim hat on the skeleton. We could probably do that too. Hello from Medina. That's close to here, assuming it's Medina, Ohio, or as the GPS says, Medina.
Right.
Um,
And Akron is Akron.
right.
Yeah.
And Clegg Road was always Clog Road.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's no clog in the pipe. Oh, good question. Do you have any stories about Elliot Ness, the victims of the Torso murderers, or the suspect, Dr. Sweeney?
I actually, yeah, I do. I ran into a couple of the spirits that the killer, his victims, at the county morgue many, 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 many years ago. They actually still have the head of one of the victims in a bell jar floating in there. They're still hoping that somebody, after all these years now, will be able to identify him.
Are those people long gone that would recognize him?
Well, that was my opinion, but who am I to argue with the cop? Not me.
Karen's like, I didn't do it because she's a Sweeney.
That's right.
And let's see. Happy birthday to Pat. Today is her
Happy birthday, Pat.
And some birthday lovin's coming on. And Brooke says she did the Law of Abundance and got invited into 2 programs to review products, meaning I am gifted products for honest reviews.
Good for you. I'm telling you that Law of Abundance works. I'll tell you what's going to be scary. The next full moon is the 8th of November, Tuesday, which is election day, which is also a lunar eclipse. I can't wait to see how that affects the voting on Tuesday next week. Yeah.
Witchy Woman now asks, is there anything I can do to keep spirits out of my home during the time they have their white light?
No, I'm sorry, there is not. Because the seeds don't stop anybody from the white light or anybody that still has their white light. So no, and you just got to hope that whoever comes in your house at that point isn't devious enough to stay in the house so that they could stay when their light disappears. Some people have agendas, and that includes ghosts. But no, there is nothing you can do.
ELW says, Happy All Souls Day. I heard the veil between the worlds is extremely thin on this day. Comments?
I don't believe that. You know what? Everybody that is born, your planets are in a certain place. And I don't believe that. I mean, I've heard that so much that, I was born with a veil on my face. People are born with all kinds of things. So, but I don't put much stock in that.
Mm-hmm. Vicky's like, maybe they should do some DNA testing on the floating head. And maybe at least run it through like a 23andMe or something and see if there's any hits of at least the family line.
And as far as I know, I don't know what they're doing with it. I mean, I saw that head. We've been here 10 years. Probably about 25, 26 years ago.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
So the likelihood even more still that somebody's going to recognize the face, or
Well, yeah, and that's it. And the man whose face was in the jar, you know, he wasn't the, well, let's put it, the head, his ghost was not there, but there was another man that was killed by, was a victim, and he didn't know who killed him. And again, people don't realize that just because somebody kills you, that doesn't mean you know who killed you. If somebody kills you with the mask on, how do you know who killed you? So,
like, you would have to immediately know, like, I need to follow this person.
That's
And
right.
take the mask off, and yeah.
Exactly.
Lewis says, has a spirit ever told you something really detrimental about something going on in a home that you had to go to the police, like an uncle messing with the children or something?
And that happens a lot. Yes, turned in people like that for elder abuse, child abuse, animal abuse, a bunch of guns and rifles that were in a locked room, 14 bags of fertilizer in a garage. Yeah, you see really weird stuff. And the ghosts love to gossip. They'll tell me exactly what's going on. They just love to get people in trouble.
Well, I mean, they've been so bored. What else is there to do?
Right.
Nobody else can see them. I
And
mean,
and like the thing with the fertilizer and with the guns in the house, luckily I know, I won't say every burg in the county, the cops, but I know enough in enough cities where I can call somebody and say, hey, this happened in this house. But just because I tell them that doesn't mean they can go to the house. They have to have a reason to go to the house. Criminals, in my opinion, are almost better protected than the victims.
Unfortunately. So back to the question about keeping somebody with the white light still from coming into the house. Linda says you could pray. Like Echo Bodine said, you can firmly direct a ghost to leave. But is that really always going to work? Because
no, that is not going to work. And like I said, you can tell a ghost to do anything, and you'll be lucky if they don't give you a finger. So if they don't want to do something, they're not going to do it. Now, a lot of people that die are relatives and come to say goodbye with the white light, but then they go and they lose it. They go into it before they lose it. But ornery people, or people that think they're getting even, or you're not sending me anywhere, those are the people you have to watch out for. That if they're not going, they're not going.
Right. They're going to have the same personality.
Exactly.
Cindy says, how do we break a generational curse? And can a demon spirit enter someone from a Ouija board?
You break a generational curse the same way you can do any curse. And no, you cannot, a spirit cannot enter you from a Ouija board. It can follow you for the rest of your life. But if you get When Ghosts Speak, the last chapter in this book tells you how to remove negative energy on a person, a place, or a thing. So don't buy it. Go to the library and get it. But you can do it.
I don't know if you're going to come right out and answer this, because I know you've said before that you were under investigation because of this case, because of knowing too much. But have you ever found Amy Mihaljevic or her mother?
No, I have not. But again, I had information that apparently I wasn't supposed to have from a ghost that did tell me what went on. And of course, Amy and her mother are both dead now. But no, I have never run across their spirits.
Next question is, why do some ghosts look like normal people and others are big? with long limbs?
I see people like they looked when they were alive. I don't see them missing parts and pieces and limbs or carrying heads or anything like that. And I'm going to think that if people are seeing entities with longer arms, taller than normal, thin, they may not be looking at human earthbound spirits. They may be looking at aliens, because that seems to be the general description of an alien.
And now you just opened that door for the day. So I'm waiting
I,
for those to start coming in through the chat.
here we go. Bum, bum, bum.
So there was a question that was sent in. It's not in chat. It was like texted over. The question was, where do fairies go like during the winter time? Are they just as prevalent in this dimension in the winter as they?
Yeah, I believe they are.
Spring and summer?
And it's like, well, where do bugs go in the winter? Some of them hibernate over, and some, they're more active when the weather's nice. And I'm going to say the same thing are probably through for the nature sprites, which would include the air, water, all of that. But then again, it's like birds. How do birds live when it's 25 degrees below zero outside? So apparently their system is okay with all kinds of weather.
Let's see here. Somebody asked, and where did it go? The question was, how long after dying and you lose your white light do you have to finally cross over?
You've got 48 to 72 hours after your final memorial service. And some people won't have, as they call it, a celebration of life for a week or 2 weeks after. Some people, you die today, you're buried tomorrow. So it sort of depends on what the family or what happens with your body. If they're going to have a funeral pretty quick, then your white light will be quick. People, let's use Florida. People go down to Florida for the winter, and they've been doing it for years. So they have a viewing down there, and then 3 or 4 days later, they bring the body back up here for the relatives in the home city. And so that white light is with them for a long time till the final service, if there's a service. If it's what you wish and there is no service, then your 48 to 72 hours start right when you take your last breath.
Now, what about after you lose your light? What happens like after you lose your light, and let's say for some reason you're not around people to get energy from? What happens? Do you know what happens to the ghosts?
Yeah, you would go someplace where you can find energy. That's where you're going to go, to the mall or a stadium or a theater or someplace where there's a lot of people so you can get the energy. I mean, you don't sit there and wait. They have to go find it.
How bright is the light? Is it like the sun where you shouldn't look directly at it? Should I wear sunglasses when walking into it? Inquiring minds of Lewis would like to know.
Well, if you are dead and looking at the bright white light, it is not going to hurt your eyes because that's the direction you're supposed to be going in anyway. But when my grandmother first taught me how to make the white light, she said the sun was going down, not coming up in the morning, but it was in the evening. She took me outside. She says that there's the sun. And I said, yeah. She goes, that white light of yours, is that what that white light looks like? And I said, no, it's brighter. And Grandma's answer to that was, that's the best we're going to do. So she just made me look at that and pretend that that was the real white light so that I could, visualize it on the side of the garage. So yeah, but it's very, very bright, and it does not hurt your eyes once you're dead.
You're not burning out your retinas and your corneas.
No, you're fine.
Your enias.
Right.
Kelly asks, what do Ouija boards channel? Do they open a portal, for lack of better words? Do they just open us up to the spirits that are currently in the house?
I think it is a combination of who is running the Ouija. Is it somebody that's a good medium or a good psychic? Are they just using the board to help them get a clearer answer, or are they calling in people? And I think people use the Ouija board in all kinds of different ways. So I all I know is that I find very few spirits that have crossed over actually use a Ouija board. They say they're from the light, but they're not telling the truth.
Um, Frog Lady over on Twitch says, my uncle passed on 10/17/22. I had a dream last night. He said it's about time and laughed.
Boy, that was really quick, saying he just died. Usually they don't come in like that, into your dreams that fast, but apparently he was waiting for it, so good for him.
And that will kind of lead us into the next question from Jules. Are people that die suddenly shocked to discover that they're dead? And are people with long illnesses surprised?
People with long illnesses are not surprised. A lot of them are hoping and wishing that it's coming. People that die unexpectedly, yes. That's why sometimes murder victims don't cross over so they can find out who killed them or figure out what's going on. People that die in car accidents. Now, if you're an older person that dies in a car accident, you're 50-50 if you're going to go in the light or not. But chances are, if you're a young person and you die in a car accident, you're not going, because who wants to be young and dead? So you are going to stick around. But so it just depends on where you are in your life when you die, and if it's something you have to find, the answer to.
Oh, excuse me. Lewis says, it sounds really annoying to be saying your last goodbyes and then there's a door of white light following me around. And that leads into Goth's question as, does the white light literally follow you around?
Yes, it's like you're walking around with a flashlight beam on you. Yes, it is around you the whole time. And it's a comforting light. It would have to be, because they want you to go into it, into the tunnel of it. And so they're not going to make it feel uncomfortable or annoying, because then for sure you wouldn't go. So I'm sure it has to feel just fine. Nobody has ever complained to me about the white light, ever. Leave it to you, Lewis, to come up with that question. Seriously.
Swifty says, a friend of mine saw an old couple walking together in 1920s garb. They were slanted in an unnatural way, like they were standing on a different plane. Any idea what that could have been?
No, I would have to have seen it to figure it out. Were they see-through? Were their feet actually on the ground, or were they an inch above the ground? You would have to take all of that in to determine exactly what that was.
Kelly says, I have Ouija board induced PTSD.
Oh, golly. I seriously, get rid of it.
Let's see. Because Brooke was saying, because it jumped on me. In the Mahalava case, I've always thought about someone well known is involved and it's just being hushed up. Can you answer yes or no without causing trouble for yourself?
Yes. They pretty much knew who it was, but he had left Ohio and went to Pennsylvania. And so, yeah, they pretty much had a general idea of who it was, a pretty good idea of who it was. And Margaret knew him, and Amy had seen him before.
Interesting. Let's see. Oh, hello. Deborah says, hello, I need an answer for a young person, please. So a spirit was following her and she had been really busy. She tells him, I'm busy, busy. What do you want? He replies, you are the gate. What could he have meant?
Well, first I would have to figure out if it was an earthbound spirit that was talking to her or one that crossed over. And if this is an earthbound spirit that said this to her, then I would be curious to know if he had ever seen the Ghostbuster movies, because Sigourney Weaver was the gate to the other side. So is that what he's talking about?
And that
I don't know.
remember that letter that we read where the spirit kept hopping into the bodies and was over 200, and you're like, if I didn't know better, it was after the interview with the vampire.
Right.
I was talking with a colleague yesterday who was familiar with the Anne Rice books, and she's like, oh, that's one of the other books. In one of her other books in her vampire series, Lestat keeps jumping into other people, like his soul. And she goes, oh, that's what that one is.
And that's why I think that letter was, like I said, if that letter had come after all that advertising, or maybe that person got that information if they read that book before. Who knows?
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, and I, for the life of me, can't remember which one it is now because I'm not an Anne Rice fan. I don't need 20 pages describing a red velvet shirt.
Yeah.
So I don't read Anne Rice. Lewis says, what would happen to a ghost that didn't get energy? Imagine we had a spirit who refused to leave their empty, vacant home. Do they become stagnant or do they start to fade?
They just get very lethargic and they just sort of stand around like a broom. I mean, they just don't do anything. They don't have the energy to do it. And if they made the choice not to go into the light when they had the opportunity, then I don't think too many, I've run across that where people have bought older, like century homes, and the ghost that was in the house was finally so happy with the family that is moving in that they choose to just be dormant and sit and watch and not get involved. But that's usually doesn't last very long. They, they want to keep going.
Mm-hmm. I know there are some books, one of which, Marianne, I think I told you about After the Clearing. It's a newer one. Will say that the ghost, if you're earthbound for too long, and it doesn't specify how long is too long, that the spirits, the ghosts, become angry, not themselves. And I'm like, well, this sounds like something out of Supernatural. Because Supernatural would talk about, like, if you're earthbound too long, you go crazy, you become, troublesome.
No. It's like if you died of cancer and you decided to stay and not go into the light, your spirit, your earthbound spirit, is not being eaten away by cancer. The body is gone. Mm-hmm. And so the same thing would happen with a ghost. If they were mentally ill before they died, then they're going to stay mentally ill. But if they're not going to turn mentally ill. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't buy that.
Meg asks, so why are so many stories about children ghosts? Are children likely not to go into the light, or are the children ghosts not what they see?
No, they're exactly what they seem. Usually it's the parents that have made the children stay, because at the funeral they're so distraught about the kid being dead that they're carrying on and they can't breathe and they're passing out and you can't go and what am I going to do? And this kid is torn, I guess I better stay with mommy and daddy. And then they stay and life goes on and the kid is stuck at that age that they died, and their siblings grow up and nobody thinks about them anymore. And there you go. So now you're stuck. But no, the only thing is with kid ghosts definitely hang out with other kid ghosts because kids like kids, whether they're alive or dead. So.
We've talked about this a few times. Are spirit earthbound only, or can they teleport anywhere in the universe? And
anywhere. They can go anywhere they want.
And Bridget says, can they see their family through the white light waiting for them and helping them to go into the light?
They can, and they're motioning, come on, come on. They can't talk to them at this point. Now, people that have long lingering illnesses, the white light will show up maybe a week, 10 days before they die, and the patient starts seeing uh, George in the light, or his brother that died, 22 years before, and mom and dad and a grandma. At that point, the patient can talk to them, but the minute they take their last breath, no more. That's when they're motioning. They want you to come into the light. So they're, yes, come on, come on, come on.
Herbal says, I'm afraid that when I die, it will be with a blink and I will just be back in a whole new life. What do you think about death and our memories?
It'll take longer than that to come back in. But yes, and that's your choice. If you want to return in a blink, you can do it. But people usually go into the light and learn a few things before they come back. You want to get it right the next time you come back.
And Jules asked, have you ever met anyone with the stigmata? If so, any thoughts on it?
Wow. One of the reasons why I don't like doing people that have a spirit in them, a person that is possessed, is that I can do it, but I will get nailed somewhere doing it. I will end up bleeding somewhere. I will get a scratch. I will get something. And the heck of it is, I don't actually even feel it when it's happening. But after the person is out, after the entity is out of the person and they're gone, then I look and it's like, well, where is it? What happened? So, but yeah, but a person that just normally walks around with the stigmata on them, I've never seen anybody like that except Padre Pio. And I've really never seen that. I just know about him. And I have some of his blood on inside. It's a first degree relic inside a cross, a Padre Pio cross that my godmother, the nun, got for me when I was 73 years ago. So I don't even think that's available anymore. But so, yeah, I don't really know anybody that's living that actually has it.
Suzanne says, good morning. I would love to see a fairy or nature sprite. How do I do that?
Be careful what you wish for. Look at them in pictures in a book. Some of those are pretty accurate. And just like they represent trolls and them looking a little bit more menacing, that's just truth. You almost catch them out of the corner of your eye. It's not something you usually see head on. But they definitely take a close look at a butterfly, take a close look at a lightning bug, at a ladybug. When you see a ladybug on your screen, you go, oh, how cute, and you walk away. Take a look at that ladybug. Are you sure it's a ladybug?
Or is it one of those little Japanese beetles that do bite?
Yeah, you never know.
So Patricia's husband, had just passed, and she said he was not coherent, but did he go into the light?
Yes, I'm sure he did, because his guardian angel, his mother, his father, somebody would have came and got him. And I'm sorry, Pat, I did not know he died. I'm so sorry.
Karen says, I'm glad I have options if I miss my 72-hour window. If I miss it, I can just go to another funeral and share the light.
You are right. You are 100% correct.
Let's see. This is a good question. We even discussed this at a book club. It says, what are the ghosts that are black? just like a shadow.
They can be either earthbound or ones that crossed over. That is just how their energy is projecting them, and that's how you're seeing them. If we were both looking at a person, you might see them as a shadow person, but I would see them as a person, hair color, eye color, and all that. So everybody, because of what they're capable of doing and how much energy the ghost has at the time, is how people see them. But again, don't assume just because it's all dark that it's something bad. That does not mean that at all.
Karen, back to her light. She's like, that would be typical of me. I would be late for my own funeral and late for my own light.
Well, you can't be late for it when it's sort of stuck on you. But again, as a matter of fact, I'm going to have to do that for one of the podcasts. Man, I forgot all about that one. A ghost did stay, and I ran into this ghost. I had been to this ghost. No, I'm going to save it for a podcast. Never mind.
Okay.
No, let that one go. Yeah.
Ellie asks, does meditating when you're alive help have a better death?
You know what? I almost think when you meditate, you learn how to control your breathing. You learn how to get rid of your anxiety. You can put yourself in a good place. That would be all good things to do before you're dying. So it's not going to hurt, not one little bit.
I think the meditation, especially if you're somebody that you're actively looking on all aspects of your life, you've already kind of let go, you quit hanging on to things and carrying it. And so that means you probably have less anxiety and stress about just everyday crap. Because that tends to be what holds some of these earthbounds, right? They didn't finish things. They never got to do certain things. Even in the shaman training, we have a whole weekend on death where you have to pull yourself out and be willing to cross over. And I thought I did it wrong because I had a completely different experience than other people. They were seeing family members. They were driving around in cars. And I'm like, I was at like this creation point. And at that time, I understood and knew all things, but I can't bring it back, which was frustrating. But I also got bored while I was there. So I came back before he pulled me. And I thought I did it wrong. Like I hallucinated a complete wrong thing. And he goes, no, these were all people who, that unfinished business, that stuff that nagged them. What I found interesting, the men in the group driving cars, going places, doing things, that's what they stuck around for. The women were because they had a hard time moving past imagining like their family crying and not wanting them to leave and not wanting to go. And I'm like, well, that's a clear line between
men and women.
Yeah.
There you have Venus and Mars. Okay.
So this is why we don't wait for you men in the old folks home.
The nursing home. You betcha. That's we are out of here. Go play with your cars.
That's right. We done out. Let's see. Jane asks about how old was the oldest earthbound spirit you have ever run across?
About 400 years old. That's the oldest one that I can remember.
Let's see. Valerie says, my relative was motioning like he was conducting an orchestra before he died. Was he reaching out to dead loved ones?
Absolutely. And if you ever get the chance to talk to hospice nurses, oh gosh, they have great stories. The patient raising their arms and looking like they're kissing somebody and getting a hug. And yeah, it's a hospice nurse would never question any of this stuff because they see it happen every day.
Next question says, finally able to join after the first time listening to the podcast religiously. Well, hello and welcome. I live in an apartment and was curious about using sage. Will the smudge still work even if I can't smudge the entire building? Would having quinseeds work better in this case?
You can't smudge the whole building. You can only smudge what you're paying rent for, which would just be your space, your apartment. And yes, I definitely suggest that people that live in any kind of a situation where there's more than one family under a common roof have seeds on your doors, because an apartment, condos, it's like salad bars for ghosts. They can pop in and eat something from your place or go upstairs, and they're going to go wherever the energy is. So, yeah. And some apartments you can smudge and not set off your smoke alarm. Some you can't. So you have to be careful of that. But yeah, once you know that your apartment is clear and there's nobody there, the seeds can absolutely go up.
Mhm. Florena says, why do some people have near-death experiences and then some die but don't see anything at all? They don't have a near.
Well, it seems like they don't have a near-death experience, or they did and they don't remember it, or they truly, I mean, people that have near-death experiences have no breathing, have no, Melissa, she's frozen. So I don't know if anybody's even hearing me, but at any rate, um, I think it's just on the individual person, and maybe when some don't see the white light, they really weren't having a near-death experience. Ted, you want to text Melissa?
Death experience.
She's frozen. Yeah, we have 10 minutes yet.
Sorry about that. My internet just.
Oh, there you are. You're back. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. The internet just. Bloop. So we're running on hotspot on the phone. So forgive me, guys, if it gets a little choppy. I don't know what's going on out there. I also heard walking around, up. So I bet there's somebody coming into the building and they're playing with the internet up there.
Okay. Okay. Why don't we say what's going on, just in case we lose this again?
Yeah.
Yeah, is Friday the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have spaces open for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, November 11th, which is a Friday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you're not on the Eastern Standard Time zone with us, please make sure you adjust your time accordingly so you can start when we start. We do go until everybody asks their questions. If you're running late, and we're moving pretty fast. We don't hang around forever waiting for everybody to log on. We do our thing and then we cut and run. So please make sure you're on time. If you're like, hey, I'm not going to be able to get there till like 7:45, 8 o'clock, it's best to send an email. So I know that you're kind of coming. I can either kind of slow it down or speed it up if I can. So Friday, November 11th, there's like 5 spaces left before we started Zoom. Or before we started the stream today for that Zoom. And then the next one would be on the 28th. So after Thanksgiving, that is a Monday.
Normally it would be the Monday before Thanksgiving, but people are busy then. So we're going to try it on the 28th and end the month with it.
Right. I love Melanie. She's like, and it's not a Mercury retrograde.
It's not.
Right up my alley. And then Marianne, do you have, I know you're going to be in store in December on the 17th. Did your event already happen?
No, it's not till December 4th. And it's, what's that hotel's name, Ted? I asked him too fast. It's in Middleburg Heights. Bagley and what? Engel. Damon's used to be there. It's back behind there. That hotel there has had 17 different names. So it's there on Sunday, the 4th of December. I think we have about 12 spaces left, so it'll be full pretty quick. And then, like you say, in the store, don't forget the book club is on Tuesday the 15th, and this is the book. It is called The Awake Dreamer. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying this book. And we will be doing that. And we need people either
Yeah.
on to come in or to get on and do it online with us. But if we don't get the turnout for this month, this will be it for the book club. So it's up to you guys.
I do have more coming into the store. Hopefully they're going to be delivered today. So if you do need a copy, check back with us. And it's funny because some of the past comments are popping up while I was frozen and switching internet, and it was like, nope, Melissa needed coffee. She's off to get coffee. It's hilarious. And I do, because I only have water right now, and I'm like, coffee sounds fantastic. But then, Marianne, you'll be back in store December 17th.
Right.
And that's kind of it, because we're winding down. It's the end of the year. There's holiday time coming up. So,
Yeah, I don't know how much we're going to do in December as far as the Zoom goes. I think we'll probably try to get one in, but between Christmas and New Year's, I think we're probably just going to do one next month with that. Let me back up a minute on this book, The Awake Dreamer. Samantha Fay, if you guys listen to the Psychic Teachers, their podcast is terrific. And they give you so much information. She is one of the psychic teachers. So she's got some good knowledge. So, if you're looking to get some more information on what you love, that's the book to read.
And I'm sorry, guys. It seems like there's some 2 or 3 part questions, and I'm missing 1 or 2 parts during that whole internet bloop. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything. But if nothing else, please join us next Wednesday and bring your questions. We'll definitely get to them then. I don't know what's going on with the internet, but like I said, I hear feet on the roof, so I bet they're
doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're putting up Christmas lights.
Right. Well, I could bring out my 12-foot skeleton, and he can pretend to hang them on the lower shelf.
There you go.
I know this city would have something to say about it, because they are no fun. But yeah, join us for the book club coming up. If you need a Zoom session to find out if you might have a ghost or not, if you think you might have a ghost or a portal, negative energy, you can find that out directly that night. Otherwise, if you call Marianne and leave a message, you are like months behind, Marianne, right?
Well, just being on Coast to Coast on Monday night. Yeah, it's the phone is back up. Something dawned on me just now. Somebody asked about having a Ouija board if it could blow open a portal. If a Ouija board has ever blown open a portal. I do know of one time where the person that was running the Ouija board was negative enough when they had, it was at a party. Somebody had this man come in and do the Ouija board and do readings, and he did blow open a portal while he was doing that. So yeah, that can happen if somebody's negative enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think we had that one blown open in the store during a healing session, and it was a lot of stuff that was just going on, and that's been the one and only time. Yes. And I didn't fully know it. And I wish I would have saved the recording from the cameras here in the store that night, because it happened during a psychic fair. And my cameras kept saying movement, movement, movement. And I could hear talking and shuffling. And so I'm like, I'm talking out, like, get out. But yet I'm not seeing anybody going for the doors. And at that time, I just thought somebody had gotten in here. They were playing tricks, so I'm driving all the way back out here, and nothing. I did hear like a crash, on the camera, and it turned out one of the local artist paintings, they were like frame chalk drawings, and it had been lifted up off the hook and slid down the wall, and the frame broke. Thankfully, the glass didn't, but I found that after moving stuff away a couple days later, like it wasn't blatantly obvious because there were so many on the wall and it was kind of down in the corner. But I wish I would have saved that. But I really thought at first it was just like I was going to come out with the cops and they were going to be escorting young people out of the store. There wasn't anything. And never
Just-
once did I go, my store's haunted. I was just like, what the hell? Like Crosswire. I never think it's me.
Why would it be you?
No. That doesn't happen here.
Oh
But we've
my
been
God.
said good sense. And I found it funny that the what was his name? Reed. I forget what his first name was. The guy from the portal over at the office. How he had known that there had been a portal here, but he couldn't find it. And one of the other ghosts told him that it had been closed.
Oh yeah, right. He had come over and he couldn't understand. Well, that's like the house we did the portal on air. That guy had been in houses on that street because the other houses have portals there. So he had been around. So yeah, they use them.
Mm-hmm. And they talk to one another through those little passageways.
Now somebody's going to hurry up and write and tell you that there's a ghost behind you, Melissa.
Oh yeah,
That
no, because he just came in.
Yeah. So nobody, that was not a ghost behind Melissa.
It's a real person that was walking, casting shadow.
That's right.
No ghosts. All right, everybody. Well, if you haven't had a chance to listen to the episode today on the podcast, it is the clearing of the office. So the sound could be a little hard at times because of actually I was walking near some of the ghosts a couple times. And then we were walking not only through the office, but out in the open walkway. So it was a lot of physical moving while going on. So I cut some stuff out that got too hard to hear, but didn't mess with the story of what was going on. So that went out this morning. You can go back and look. I know for a fact that if you start researching the names in the area, you will find them. Kelly sent me a lot of cool emails and pictures, which we don't have up because we don't want to give away last names for family members and that. Maybe if, you know what, maybe we'll bribe them for the book club. If you show up to the book club, I will show you the things after book club is done. How about that?
Oh, that's good. Good one.
I am not above bribery. So, but listen to the podcast. Tell us next week what you think, and there'll be another one next Wednesday as well. So, but you can catch us here every Wednesday morning live answering questions for you. Or you can come see Marianne in person on December 17th here in the store. Get your quince seeds if you need them. Ship them off to your friends and family who aren't local enough to come get them in person for Christmas presents.
Right.
Melanie, you can join us through stream. So we actually stream it like you're watching it now. So if you have the book and you're not local, or you're getting off work at like 6:58 and you can't get here by 7, hop on the stream. So you can participate that way. But all right, guys. I have work. I have Halloween to pack away, and Marianne, I know you've got things lined up right after this. So
I do too. So have a good week, everybody, and we'll do it next Wednesday again.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.